fresh out of the shower. It's been a really incredible weekend in a lot of ways. And to any outside observer, it would look extremely boring. Like, I've been waking up at the same time every day, the same time that I wake up on weekdays. I have successfully reinstated my routine around my sleep schedule. And I've kept my phone on airplane mode for the vast majority of the weekend. I only took it off for a couple little breaks in between. And even during the times where, theoretically, according to my rules, I'm allowed to have it off airplane mode, I've still just been keeping it on, just doing my work. And I've been almost entirely focused on music. And that feels like exactly where I need to be right now. I have worked a little bit on framing the failure to launch video for the Big Plans channel and just thinking about that script and how to get that put together. But I got some time. November 9th. So, anyway, I'm in a really good place. And if it seems like these last few videos have been kind of half-assed, like just checking the box, that's true. That's exactly what they were. I think I can do better than that. I know I can. But I also understand that right now, the biggest thing for me to do is just be extremely consistent and spending a very high percentage of my time in ways that I perceive to be meaningful. And then, as I go, and as I continue to be consistent, I will improve the ways that I'm spending it meaningfully. But really, until the last couple months, there's still a very high percentage of my time that was just like wasted, and I hate it. But it doesn't do me any good to guilt myself over that. It does me good to change. And in my case, a lot of these lessons are things that I learned a long time ago, and I've just had to reintegrate them in ways that are functional with my life today. Like, for a large percentage of the year of 2022, I went to bed between like 6 and 8 p.m. and woke up somewhere between like 2:30 and 4:30 in the morning, just depending on what time of year. Like, waking up at 2:30 in the winter is brutal because it's super long before the sun comes out. But yeah, for most of the summer, I woke up at 2:30 so that I could beat the sound of the air conditioner when I was recording my voiceover. Anyway, having a consistent sleep schedule is really, really critical for doing the work that I need to do. And I know that, at least in my case, my meaningful output, as well as just my subjective well-being, really suffers when my sleep schedule is inconsistent. And until recently, I could blame it on volleyball, I can blame it on whatever I want, right? But the fact is that I would be trying to wake up relatively early on the weekdays, but then I would have a night, usually Thursday night after I play volleyball, but at the very least at some point of the weekend, and often a lot of the weekend, that I'd be up till like 1, 2, 3 in the morning. And then that totally disrupts my sleep cycle going into the next week. And so like I never would get all the way caught up. And now I have a rule that my alarm just goes off at 7:35 every day. I don't care what time I'm going to sleep. That's what time the alarm goes off. And I will either adapt or I will adapt. There's no way around that. And I do much better if I'm not waking up with an alarm. But counterintuitively, the way that I've found to be the most effective to wake up without an alarm is waking up with one for a while, and then I will almost always, if I get consistent with what time I'm going to bed, then I wake up a few minutes before it goes off. And And that's where I need to get to. I'm in the process of making that happen right now. But even just getting up and not being perfectly rested and feeling a little worn out, I still have been more productive than I've been in a long time. Like, I pretty much relearned how to play the piano this weekend. Not I can't play the piano well, but I can play it well enough to create the melodies for my songs, and it's been really cool. Like, I've been having fun with it again, and I think that this is exactly where I need to be right now. And contextualizing this season in the bigger picture of my life is something that I can do better with the failure to launch video that I've been working on, the framing and structure of that. I'm planning to start filming it in October, so that's only a few weeks away. And overall, I'm just in a really good place. And there's still plenty of room for improvement, but I understand now that the improvement doesn't come from like guilting myself for the time that I've wasted or the mistakes that I've made. It comes from actively engaging with the most meaningful work that I can take on in the present and just doing it. And when I have something that's so compelling to me that I literally do not want to put it down, that I don't want to be distracted and just numb myself from my own thoughts, but I would rather just engage with the thing that actually matters to me. Like, this is how I would rather exist, 100%. I've lived it both ways, and I can say for a fact that for me, spending as much of my time as I possibly can working on the things that matter the most to me is where I want to be. Like, actively engaging in the work that doesn't feel like work. Like, even for my quote unquote day job, like, it fills me up. It is a genuinely rewarding environment. And I have just incredible clients that it really does help me feel like I'm making a difference in the world right now when I see the transformation in their lives. And so having that in combination with the bigger picture vision, contextualizing my life in the overall direction and the things that I'm striving to create, which is very broad. But like, I can't make every video about like creating systems that self-correct instead of self-destruct. Although, why not? Anyway, I'm not going to go off on that tangent right now. But I know what I want to do long-term, big picture. I have meaningful work that I'm actively engaged in. And then in finding the music again, it's like this piece that I had tried to cut out of me for really stupid, really arbitrary reasons. I'm like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I needed. And this week, I pretty much just woke up, worked on music, went to work, rinse and repeat. And then this weekend, woke up, worked on music, did that as much of the day as I physically could, and rinse and repeat. And I'm not going to say that I want it to be exactly like this forever. But this feels very sustainable to me. And if you told me that this season of my life was going to last the next 5 years, I would be okay with that. And I really only see myself changing it significantly when I have a really obvious reason to do so. But I'm working on my skill development. I'm working on my creating financial flexibility, and then building a community, building a network of people who think the way that I do and who are highly aligned on our overall values. And it's going to take some time. But I'm thinking on longer term time horizons now. rather than even in 2022 when I was working on really big picture questions and working my ass off. It's like, all right, I gotta have this done this year so that we can get this rolled out over the next 2 years. And it was very short-sighted. Now I'm like, I'm gonna invest in myself and invest in developing my skills as much as I can and surround myself with the best people that I can over the next 5 to 10 years. And then that's going to set us up to build everything that we need to build over the coming decades. And who knows if we actually have that long in reality. But I think operating with that big picture vision in mind is exactly how I need to move forward from here. And it's not to say that I'm like kicking the can down the road on meaningful work until some point in the future. No, I kind of see it the opposite of that, where to me right now, making the music is the most meaningful thing that I can do, that I can really take tangible action on every day. And I've created some really fascinating, at least from my biased perspective, theories on, let's say, governance and voting systems as one example of many things. I got a lot further with those than I did on things like economics, which I found to be much more complex in the viable game theory strategies. But that's again, another rabbit hole. But like, even with that, what good does that do if I don't have anybody to build with? I mean, I can theorize about things all day. I think what actually matters is taking the theory and then experimenting with it and putting it into practice. Seeing what can be improved, seeing what we learn from that, and then setting it up better and running it again. And that just seems to be the most sensible approach through iterative evolution. And there are lots of domains that can be applied to. But yeah, right now, rather than just trying to theorize about things that feel meaningful but somewhat intangible and lack a lot of clarity on what my next action steps would be, I think that working on the music and then having relatively low overhead versions of this channel and of the Big Plans channel, and using the music to reach people and help people right now, because I know how much music has changed the trajectory of my life, and I would like to be able to give that same gift to other people. But then there'll be a small percentage of those people who are interested in this bigger picture vision that I have yet to really fully elucidate, but that I keep alluding to, and who want to dig in a little bit more, and that's where we can start to plant the seeds of our community. So that's how I see it right now. And I think that independent, or I should say, in the absence of having a community, it's really hard for me to conceive of meaningful ways to take some of the concepts that I'm most excited about for self-correcting systems design and put that into practice. But with a community, it opens a lot more doors. My ideas, even calling things my ideas, is really silly. Like, every idea is based off of everything that we've learned from this entire ecosystem of information and connection that we exist within. But the things that I've worked on, some of these concepts, I think are really interesting, but a lot of it I built in a vacuum. And I think that there are some pros to doing that, but there's a hell of a lot of cons too. And I would like to see how that evolves. And so I guess in my summary of my ramblings here, I'm finally in a place where I can give myself the permission to really work my ass off on music and understand the value that that has. And understand that it is part of the same pursuit of everything else that I'm doing, because it starts with bringing people together. It really does. So I think I'll call it there for today. The one thing that I have not done a very good job of this weekend is just like making sure that I'm eating enough food, because oh man, I gotta eat so much food. But again, the first world problem of first world problems, right? I can live with that. But yeah, being a personal trainer and having a decent amount of just food allergies and sensitivities of like, if I don't eat super clean, my joints hurt, my skin breaks out everywhere, I have a bad time. And so eating that much food is a lot of food. But as far as the problems that a person could have, or even the problems that I've had, this is like the best problem. So, all right, I love you tons. I'm gonna keep working.